All right, let's go to Erin Burnett, of course, in Nevada, with our first debater now to give the sense of her performance, Senator Klobuchar. And I just have to tell you, Erin, Andrew Yang says thanks for the name recognition from Amy Klobuchar. He wants to thank her.
You hear her chuckling. All right. Thank you very much, Chris. And yes, Andrew Yang, as you can see, is part of our panel here.
That's wonderful.
All right. So how do you feel?
I feel a few things. Number one, I'm not surprised I took a bunch of incoming. We are surging. We're taking support from some of the other candidates. So big surprise that they were going after me. But I do think something was missed here, and that was there wasn't enough of going after Donald Trump. I tried when I had opportunities to do that. Yeah. But I think a bunch of people are starting to tune in as we head into Super Tuesday, who aren't just our fired up Democratic base, as I said. They're independents, moderate Republicans, Democrats that stayed home. And they're actually looking for a reason to support our nominee, to support our candidate. And that is my message to them is if you're tired of the noise and the nonsense, and boy, did you hear it tonight, and you are tired of the extremes, you have a home with me.
All right, so there was a lot of sniping. There was a lot of that went on, and there was a lot of incoming at you. Several of them incoming at you came from Senator Warren. Mm-hmm. And there was one moment where she was talking about health care. She came at both Mayor Buttigieg and at you, and I just wanted to play that moment, Senator.
Yes.
Here it is.
We need to get everybody's health care plan out here. Mayor Buttigieg really has a slogan that was thought up by his consultants to paper over a thin version of a plan that would leave millions of people unable to afford their health care. It's not a plan, it's a PowerPoint. And Amy's plan is even less. It's like a Post-it note, insert plan here.
Okay, two things. One is, as I noted, Post-it notes were invented in my state, so I took personal offense. But two, it wasn't true. Actually, factcheck.org has already looked at what she said about a few paragraphs of my health plan. I have an extensive plan on taking on pharmaceuticals. I have an extensive plan on long-term care, on addiction, on mental health. But I'm sure it sounded good on a debate. And it's just one example of what people are doing when they're jockeying to try to get support.
Were you surprised when she did that?
A bit, because, she's a law professor from the past, and I thought she'd do her research better, but such is life. What matters to me is that people out there understand that we can do so much more for them when it comes to health care, and that I have a plan, but it's not a pipe dream because I can actually get it done.
So you have been saying you wanted Mayor Bloomberg on stage.
Yeah.
Okay, there's your reaction. So what was your impression versus what you expected from him?
Well, I actually was glad that he was on there because I think he's just been buying all these ads, and that's not the way you do it. I think that there was some serious questions raised about his candidacy. And you heard them all. I'm not going to enumerate all of them, but including that he didn't support Barack Obama, including that he called the Affordable Care Act a disgrace. You heard all of that. And my point right at the beginning was he literally entered the race, the debate stage today, with a memo from his campaign saying that three of us should just get out of the way. So I guess he can go down the yellow brick road to Oz, paved in his billions of dollars. I think he found out today that's not going to quite work.
He did get some applause when he talked about capitalism, founding his own business. There are areas that he talked about, for example, fracking, where you and he agree. Exactly. There's a much more pragmatic approach.
Yes, and I am the one in the last debate that stood up, and I was the only one to say that I had concerns about a socialist leading the ticket. And the private sector, I think, is very important to our country. That is, I would say that's not even a big enough statement. But what we need, as I said today, is a check and balance. We need someone that's going to do something about antitrust law, raise the minimum wage, finally get universal child care in place.
So were you surprised by how he did? Did you expect him to do better?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about Mayor Pete. You also tussled towards the end, and
that's such a nice euphemism.
Yes, it was. It was hard to describe the whole thing. There was quite a lot of a playground atmosphere about the whole debate, but there was a moment that was quite personal between the two of you, and I wanted to play that because it sort of seemed to take you aback. Here it is.
Okay.
I don't think that momentary forgetfulness actually reflects what I know about Mexico and how much I care about it.
You're on the committee that oversees border security. You're on the committee that does trade. You're literally in part of the committee that's overseeing these things.
Are you trying to say that I'm dumb, or are you mocking me here, Pete?
I'm saying that you shouldn't trivialize
I made
that
an
knowledge.
error. People sometimes forget names.
And you went on to say not everyone can be as perfect as you are to Mayor Pete. But what were you thinking during that moment?
I just thought I couldn't believe that he was making this really the centerpiece of his criticism. And
this is
meant
about
to
a recent
me-
interview with
it was
the
about
Mexican president's name.
An
Yeah.
interview, which I have since many times said the president's name in numerous other interviews, and made it very clear that I know his name. And so that's what bothered me about this, is that instead of maybe making a passing reference to it, he doubled down. And I just don't think that's leadership. Leadership with Mexican policy is standing out front, as I did, the first one on that stage, to say, with the changes, I supported the USMCA. I was the first one to say that. Leadership is actually being willing not to sound like the tough guy in the room, like he did, where he said the Mexican cartels, which are very dangerous criminal organizations, he said, oh, they should be considered terrorist organizations, that he would consider that designation. That created a lot of problems with Mexico when Mayor Pete said that. To me, those are fundamental things that matter. And what he was trying to do, of course, is make me look like I wasn't able to take the job of president. And my argument back is, hey, I'm the one that has worked and passed over 100 bills as the lead Democrat. I'm the one that has won repeatedly in red congressional districts, suburban congressional districts. He talks about it, but he's never done it.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you
All
very
right.
much, Senator
Thank
Amy
you, Erin.
Klobuchar. And we are here live in Las Vegas. We're going to take a brief break. Our post-game coverage will continue with myself and Chris Cuomo right after this. We'll be back.